Greetings and salutations, fellow gamers. Lukey P here with another episode of Supreme Ruler Ultimate Let's Play with Brazil. So a little bit of time has passed since our last episode, where we conquered the East Indies, I believe, and our population is now quite nice. Our treasury has been hovering around 180 billion, despite the fact we've gone on an absolutely massive spending spree, which I will talk to you about in a minute. We did fight one war off camera, and I call it a war. It's a war in the loosest sense of the word. Basically, I was bored, and I had 80% war justification on Guyana, so I picked up some Marines, parked them off the coast, and invaded. I don't even think they had a single garrison. I literally marched into their cities, and that was the end of the war. So yeah, very easy, very easy. So that's just given us that little bit of land up there. I did think about, should I clear out some of these? Perhaps the US might get them and use them as a launch pad into our country, but yeah, I need a bit of war justification on them. In fact, this is something I've been doing quite a lot, which is I'm going around looking at countries I might invade at some point and just supporting the opposition to get some war justification with them. So let me talk a little bit about that, and I'll talk about the economy and what we've done between episodes. So I'm actually looking at the Congo, because it's got nearly 20 million people, and as you know, I like population, and B, it's a nice little springboard into Africa. So it kind of extends all over here. It's not anyone's colony anymore, even though it's labelled as a colony, because Belgium has fallen. So it's not going to have, it's going to have garrisons, but it's not going to have units per se. My problem is it doesn't actually have any airfields until you get to their capital, which might make it slightly challenging. I have got an aircraft carrier building. I don't think that's done yet. And we don't have any war justification at all on them. We've got 3% now, and they've got 89%. And I've basically started opposing their government. I've done the same with Liberia up here. Here's this little country. Senegal. I could do that and then get into Sudan maybe. Yeah, why not? So basically I'm just trying to build up some war justification, because I prefer to go to war with war justification. I don't really know what the game does if you go to war without any. I think it probably ticks off your neighbours more, and gives other nations more war justification on you, and I imagine it might make your population more unhappy, but I'm not sure. So yeah, that's what we've been doing on the planning for war front. I think my next war is probably still going to be Australia. I'm toying with whether it should be the UK, because they've got less population and they've actually got a much smaller army. But what I think with the UK is, I think when you conquer someone, it releases all their colonies. So really I want a foothold in Africa, so when they get released I can go and stomp through all their colonies pretty rapidly, because that would be nice to basically take all the colonies the UK used to have. So Australia I still think is probably my next target. I'm building up some lots of units around here still. I'm building a little kind of hub here, because this is actually Australia as well. They got this in the peace, and they've actually got a fair So you know Saigon's got 6 million people in it. So actually taking this off them isn't the worst idea in the world. Siam, I think we're provoking them, aren't we? Oh, we're not. I should be. British Malay States, I'm going to enjoy taking that eventually because that's got most of the world's rubber production in it. Other than that, I own already. So yeah, we're getting ready for various wars. I am going to provoke these people actually. So yes, so that's what's happening on the war front. On the economy front, so if I just turn off map ownership and put back on supply, so you'll see I've been improving the supply of various regions around here, mainly because they're already quite built up. So they've already got like 4 hydro plants there. They've got loads of power supplies. They've got industrial and consumer goods plants. So why wouldn't I take the chance to build up some of the infrastructure around here, given stuff is already built. I'm also building some land production here because at some point in the not too distant future I'll probably just turn on auto production for land units, and actually having a bunch here, if I go to war and somebody does manage to get a foothold, having a bunch of units just sitting around here in reserves I can call on probably isn't the worst idea. I've got these units from my original conquest of the East Indies. These Marines are heading up to that new hub there. Yeah, so I scrapped a load of stuff which wasn't efficient or was just in areas I wasn't planning on building decent supply for. So you'll see the supply down here is a little bit ropey at the moment. So I may well look at beefing that up at some point. But I should have. Yeah, we can scrap that. I thought I had something being built around here. Oh, there we are. Airbase and supply depot, which should improve the supply to the surrounding areas. Okay, we don't need to build that. And also up here I'm building various things because here we have an absolute load of rubber production dotted around. So we're building air bases and supply depots, which is why we are currently using it's way down. It's half what it was. We were using 50,000, so we've eaten a lot into our reserves. I say a lot. We've got 4 million left, but we had 6 at one point because we've been using construction materials en masse to build up. Basically, we've decided that the supply across the East Indies was rubbish, and we've built it back up. And that is because they have a lot of useful stuff. So they had a lot of power supplies, they had a lot of industrial and consumer goods, they've got a load of rubber, they've got stuff where it's useful. Sometimes, like if I was right on the border with Germany, I might actually want a supply dead zone, because right now I don't think I can go toe to toe with them. So that's in reality what saved the USSR from getting completely smashed, is that Germany's forces basically run out of supplies, and so that's a viable tactic if you're on the border with somebody. But here we're not. I don't think there's going to be a big threat around here because I'm not planning on going to war with China anytime soon. We may need to do a little bit more trading with China actually, because they've dropped to 4. I've basically stopped trading with people because I don't need to. And giving them stuff doesn't necessarily help us now, because it's getting to the point where some of these countries I'm thinking more as rivals rather than help their allies. I don't need to trade to maintain my economy anymore. We're making 206 million a day when I'm spending 239 million on construction. So if I wasn't doing that, I'd be making half 500 million or so a day, and at times I've been spending 500 or 600 million a day, because what I've decided is I think at some point we may need to be entirely self-sufficient. So down here I have built a whole bunch more of military and military production. A military production is, I think it's 1 million per, oh it's not quite, it's gone down a little bit, or maybe it was never that high, but it's like 850 million per factory. So if you think I've built a bunch of them, and then industrial goods, I basically turn these all on because we are cheaper than the market price, so I've no need to think about buying them off the market. B, I wanted to see, could we support it with our electricity? So if you remember, we were exporting absolutely loads of electricity. We still are, but it's dropped a fair amount because we are now using a lot of electricity on industrial goods. So that 280,000 megawatt hours before, that wasn't being used because we had all this turned off. We've now turned it on. You can see we've got 53, we've got one more in construction, and we'll probably keep building these. And the reason we keep building these is we need them for consumer goods and military goods. And we will probably almost always be constructing something. Now if you take that 12,000 off, what that says is if we stopped constructing, we would have a small surplus, which is where I wanted to get to with that building round. But odds are I will keep plonking these down as I go on. Yeah, unemployment's taken a bit of a hit, so it's down. It was up, I think it was 2.4, maybe even 2.5%, which, given we doubled our population, probably wasn't as big a jump as I was hoping for. Our inflation's still under 20%, and now because our economy is a lot bigger, we can spend large sums of money. So at the start of the game, if you recall, in the early episodes I was talking about how if I built 1 or 2 industrial plants, it would put my inflation up by like a whole percentage point often. Now I can drop down a whole load of them because my economy is simply a lot bigger than it was before, without really moving inflation. So I've been on that giant spending spree, and it hasn't massively impacted my inflation, which is pretty nice. So I may just build, let's just have a check of our supply around here. Yeah, one little error I may have made here is I built 2 supply depots there thinking they would help increase that to 100. I think from memory actually the way supply works is it looks at the nearest big supply area, so in this case it's probably Rio de Janeiro, and then factors the supply out from there. So let's say if Rio de Janeiro had 83% there and that had 82% there, then it's 83% supply. It doesn't look at it and say, hey, I've got Rio de Janeiro 83%, oh, and then I've got this next door which has got 82%, so really that should be like 100% because I've got 2 things supplying it. I don't think that's how it works. So really what I should have done is built an airbase in there with 2 supply depots, but hey ho, that mistake's made now. I may even think about actually deleting one of those, scrapping that, and then replacing it with an airbase, but we'll see. Another 6. So I'm building these all where I can. I'm building within Brazil because Brazil's original territory won't get hit by partisans, whereas every so often there's always the risk that other areas will get hit by partisans. So that's why I'm trying to build in Brazil. Just in terms of rebalancing the economy, so I went through a lot of these to see how many things I needed. So you can see, for example, here I've got just a little bit of spare slack in rubber, and I'm only using less than half of the rubber production. So I've got plenty of spare capacity there. Here I've not even got any timber mill switched on. I've just got enough. Oil I've turned right down, so you can see I've got less than half of my oil production capacity running, and I'm still making an excess of 900,000 a day, a lot of which ends up being sold to people to maintain relations. As they come in, Germany comes in every so often and is like, hey, can you supply us with a couple of 100,000 barrels of oil a day, and same with various other parts, so we tend to do that. Coal, nicely balanced. I've started building some more coal because the gap's pretty small there. Oh, metal ore's gone up again. Oh, it's probably because we built some more consumer plants. So you can see here the advantage of having spare capacity. I realise I'm short and I literally just turn on some plants and that's it. Uranium we don't need any of yet. Electric power, we've still got plenty of slack. Consumer goods, why is there one off? I think it may have been in a horribly bad supply area. But yeah, basically consumer goods is about right, and we've got a lot of spare stock now that's worth an awful lot of money. Industry goods we just spoken about, and military goods, we could go up a bit more, but I want to be in the point now where I'm self-sustaining in military goods, because it will probably over time get harder to trade for them. I don't know if I do want to trade for them, because for example China now has got lots of, they're willing to sell me those, but do I really want to give them money for those things? I don't know that I do. They've got plenty of money, and I'd rather they sink it into stuff they don't need and have an even bigger stock. So so we're not doing much trading or buying in now. So that's a very long introduction to this episode. I say introduction, it's more of an update on where we're at. The clock is really going a lot slower now on my, on anything other than this computer, which is my main computer I record on. This game barely runs at the moment because we're a long way into it, so there's lots of units. So we're losing money now here, and that's just because we plonked down those these, which cost a fair amount. Let's build a road. We're just linking things up there. Yeah, okay, sure, why not? Iran is Iran was already eliminated. They must have reformed rebels. You can see actually, probably just because Germany's so big, all of these hazard signs, these are partisan units forming. We've had one or two, but not really that many. And every time we get one, I do turn up the police a bit, as I've said in previous episodes. They're now just over 100%, which is fine and dandy, basically. So I really do want to start getting ready for war, because I'm sensing speed is a little bit of the essence. I think the world's settled down into a bit of normalcy now, with Germany not really conquering much more. They seem to have reached a kind of plateau in terms of their size. The US is stomping through. Central America seems to have calmed down, and China has actually never gone to war with anyone. It's just other than Japan. No, actually, Japan declared war on China and then lost the war. So China's latent power here is basically its plus Japan's population, but it hasn't actually gone to war or sought to expand at all. Oh, and something else to mention on the research front, we're basically kind of perfectly balanced in a sense, in that we've got enough research facilities to be researching every single tech at once still, and I'm kind of having to research some infantry stuff and various designs simply because I haven't got anything else to do with the research facilities. Oh, Finland's gone. That is a new conquest for Germany. So Germany is, yeah, I mean it's completely swept the, Nordics now. Yeah, Germany is very powerful. Military 3.24 million and 63. They've got 4 million. Diplomatic offer. Yeah, okay. Unit design complete. Design for military unit Mark III light armor tank. I don't even think we really intend to build any of those. So we've got a Panzer which will take 38 days. It's 8, 6 and 7. That's 5, 5 and 6. And takes 36 days. It's 2 million to build. That's 6 million to build, but we don't really need to worry about money. I've got to be honest, we are probably never going to build that. So I'm going to exclude that from supplies. So basically we've got this which is quick to build, 86 and oh hello. We may actually, you know, it's not worth an extra 20-ish, well 15-ish days to go from that per that. So that's 8, 6 and 7. That's 8, 7 and 6. And they've more or less got the same. Yeah, so odds are we probably won't be building too many more of the T-28s. Yeah, I do. And that's the best one, but it just takes a long time to build, so we've never built that yet. I don't really know where we'd ever build militia. Got slightly better supply, have they? I think we'll exclude that from the list. And that just means that it's not on the, because over time as you research lots of stuff, you don't want to have like 24 unit designs and be looking down for it. If you don't want it, you can choose here. It's either a favourite, it's a standard, or you've excluded it. And if you need to find the excluded ones, you basically go into the options and tell it you want to see excluded units again. So motorcycle recon, I don't think we're ever going to want that either. So that takes 16 days to build. Yeah. Excluded. Recon armoured car. That's got attack of 2. That's got attack of 3. 45. Yeah, we're just comparing it. And see, it's basically inferior in every way, so we don't really want that either. Cavalry we keep just because that's a nice little basic thing. That we keep as well because it's pretty nippy. So 55 kilometers versus 72. Yeah, we'll probably keep the rest of these for now. So we're building up some seaports and supply depots down here. because yeah, sure, let's give Romania some consumer goods, why not? Because what was I talking about? Yes, we're building this down here because when we attack Australia, I was kind of thinking about how we go in. We could go straight for their big cities with marines, but actually I'm thinking probably what we want to do, I can't really see their supply that well, but I don't think it's great up in the north, so what I probably want to do is land like some forces somewhere, maybe here, build up this area with some air bases and stuff, and land my air force there, and then as they kind of march up, I can make that like a little kill zone almost. Yeah, that is those engineers are on the way to help out over here. So yeah, we got a few ideas in the fire, as you can tell, about things we're going to do. We've not really got much to worry about other than the continual growth of our eventual big enemies, which is China, the US, and Germany. Germany want to buy military goods off me, and they're not willing to pay a sensible price, so we will reject that. I am conscious we've got a lot of people on auto accept. I don't know what they're buying, because there may be, for example, a time I decide I don't want to I want to control the world supply of rubber, because rubber is used to make consumer goods and military goods. If I have the entire world supply of rubber and I refuse to export it, either everyone's got to build really expensive synthetic rubber plants, or they've got to go without consumer goods and military goods, which are rather important. Yeah, some more condors, that's good. I got units in reserve there. Yeah, I have some Stuka bombers. Wow. Romania. Fair play. They must be pretty rich. They're coming to me asking to pay $1 billion for consumer goods, so sure. Again, we don't really. I think they are probably allied with them. Yeah, they are Axis-aligned and friends of Germany, but it doesn't hurt to have stronger countries, I don't think, in the midst of Germany. Just because it might be quite nice to, if at some point Germany decide to attack Romania as well, at least Romania is a little bit stronger from having traded with me. Yeah, so this has been a little bit of a talky episode, a little bit of wait and see, look at what's going on. We have got a few, we've got a few islands like that sitting out in the middle of the sea. Oh, what happened there? British Bahrain is eliminated. Where's Bahrain? Bahrain's... yeah, somewhere over here, isn't it? Oh, so Germany has started taking some British colonies because it's taken Iran. Okay, I see. Who's Saudi at war with? Germany as well. Could do without Germany taking Saudi Arabia as well, because they're going to start leaking into Africa. This is my concern about Germany, is there's really no one and nothing to oppose them. Anyone they declare war on, they sooner or later conquer. Spain, for example, is slowly losing ground. And I don't think there's much that can really be done to help Spain. I can trade a little bit of consumer goods with them, maybe try and see if that does any good. They should sell that to their population for a lot more, which will get them a bit of money, but yeah, Barcelona's going to go soon as well. It's not looking good. The only option we've got is MTC Mark 1 infantry. So this is a good unit we've been waiting for, which I'll talk a bit about to wrap this episode up, I think. But the only option we've got for Germany is we basically supply their oil. We could cut off their oil, I guess, stop trading with them. I'm sure eventually they'd develop their own, but oh, they have been developing their own, but still not enough. Okay, so yeah, that unit we just researched, I've been waiting for that for a little while. So that is a land unit. So you see here, for example, we've got the brain carrier, which is 8, 4 and 6. This is 9, 4 and 7. So it's better than the unit we bought off the UK. And this is 6, 4 and 6. And this is 9, 4 and 7. So this is half again as good as mounted infantry. The only thing is it takes a lot longer to build. And that doesn't carry as many supplies as the brain carrier. So you can see there, it's got 34 oil and 29 supplies. This has got 32 oil and 11 supplies, so it won't operate for quite as long. But I've been waiting for it because it's a good sign that we're finally getting to a point where we are developing some units which are available to worldwide. So you can see origins there is W, which is worldwide, whereas this is United Kingdom, and that we bought from Germany. We're finally getting to the point where there are some units which are actually worth having, which we can start researching, which is good. So I think we're going to wrap that episode up there. So hopefully it's been interesting. I mean, I've spoken a bit about the economy, rebalancing stuff. I've spoken about how we're trying to make ourselves self-sufficient. I've had a little bit of a think about what we might want to do in the future. Yeah, we are getting lots of units here. We will likely send, in fact I should do that now, we will send our transports around there. We will send some of our naval ships around there, and our marines should go down to here. So yeah, we're just getting ready basically for the wars to eventually come. Maybe we want to take that. They've got a sea pier there already. That's probably where we're going to land our force actually, because they've already got a sea pier, so I can use it to land more units pretty rapidly. Ah, Darwin. Okay. So yeah, we will wrap that episode there. Any comments? If you just want to get involved, anything you want to say about what's going on in the series, do let me know. If you've liked, please like. If you've really liked, please do subscribe. I really do appreciate each and every subscriber. Thank you as always for watching. I'm Lukey P, and I will see you again soon.